Now, I wanted to show you something from today at the press conference.
Yeah, I was
You were
there.
there, obviously, so I don't really need to show you, but I might as well show everyone else in the stream. Let me just share the screen real quick.
What do you got? You got my question for
No,
Shanahan? No, it wasn't mine.
no. You got to tell me who this was. A little bit. This is a little bit. We're kind of covering the drama here at the Crook Show. We're covering the drama.
Okay.
But basically, there was a little bit of a testy moment here at the press conference where someone was kind of making a comment about, Brock's throwing mechanics and like working with an outside coach. And you'll just see. I'll just play it.
Cole, I believe. Is it Kevin Cole? Is that who it is?
I don't know who that is.
Jason Cole. Jason Cole.
Oh, you mean the coach that he worked with, or the person who's asking the question?
The person asking the question, I believe, is Jason Cole.
Oh, okay.
Instruction from either you or what he's heard from other people. Make sure it's all kind of straight in his head.
I don't know anybody I've coached who's got other coaches from outside the building.
A throwing coach in Jacksonville. He's got a guy who he grew up with.
Yeah, those are like strength and conditioning coaches, but in terms of throwing, they just work on the mechanics of throwing. But that's
well, those guys they're quarterback coaches. I mean, Dan Minucci's a guy who trains quarterbacks.
Oh, I understand. I don't think you understand. Coaches in this building, we don't sit in you don't talk mechanics all week. You prepare them for a game plan. That's what you do in the season. You get them ready for the offense that we're running, the defense that we're going on. When you work to improve your footwork and arm strength, just like a wide out in the off season, they go to improve how they drop their hips, how they do quickness off the line. They do cone drills, stuff like that. But when you're here and you get it by position coaches, it's about football and preparing for the game. So that doesn't happen during the year.
Yeah, so he was just being asked about, I think consistency, right, with the message. And he's basically saying, hey, look, our coaches coach, scheme and game plans, and we're going through how to beat team X, and we're implementing it in, every week, and we're going through the intricacies of the plays and the game plan, not working on, his mechanics of his balance and that kind of thing, which Kyle specified was, a different, those coaches that he's working, they may be coaches, but they're not working on the Niner game plan. They're working on quarterback mechanics.
Right. Which is like the Trey Lance.
He didn't seem too testy. You think,
he was at one point he said, no, you don't understand. Like he said,
well, because I think Cole might have said, you don't understand. And then Kyle came back with, no, you don't understand.
No, I don't. I'm not saying this is like the craziest breaking news of anything. I'm just saying he wasn't happy with the guy. But I think it's interesting because, there has been a lot of discussion about arm mechanics and throwing coaches in the last few years. You know that. And I mean, it just kind of I think people are misconstruing the two, obviously. But it also kind of makes me, not to bring up old topics, but Trey Lance, he kind of needed that, and the Niners weren't able to give him that in like the development of the throwing mechanics that everyone was scrutinizing. And it kind of goes to show you, like during the season, there is no time there was never going to be time for Trey Lance to for the coaches to be focused on his throwing mechanics, because every week they're preparing for the game. So I just think that's an interesting thing to bring up.
Yeah, I do think that, in the past, did Joe Montana have throwing coaches other than Mike Holmgren and whoever the quarterback coach was and Bill Walsh? No. Now there's all these independent throwing, coaches and people that work with you in and around the draft, trying to maximize your ability in the postseason, and then, or in the, in the off season. And then, and then there's coaches who are working for the staff. But yeah, you would think that some of the mechanical discussions do creep into at least Brian Greasy's, dialogue with the quarterbacks. You're the quarterback coach. Are you telling me that Brian Greasy never comments on the mechanics of Sam Darnold or Brandon Allen or Brock Purdy? He probably does, but they're not spending all day repping it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think this is where the NFL kind of lacks a farm system. There's no developmental league. There's nowhere for the players to really play football without if you don't play football on game day, you're not playing football, you know? So it's like you don't really get any game reps. So the whole I'm just not to bring back up Trey Lance, but the whole Trey Lance thing, it's just like when you look back at it, it's like he never got the reps because there's no other league for him to play it, you know?
Right. There was nowhere for him to improve. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. If the league had a developmental thing like the NBA does, you could send him to Santa Cruz or wherever for a couple games and let him work under your system with your coaches and maybe have a proving ground for him to improve. The NFL doesn't have that.
It's weird
So
too because the NFL is the most popular league in America. Like baseball can afford to have four minor league teams, for each team. The NBA has its own team. Like what no one wants to play non-NFL football? Like I don't really understand that.
yeah, I mean, and the amazing part is that there's been so many hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on secondary football leagues, and nobody ever seems like they can understand that what you need is a secondary league that's directly tied to the branding of the NFL. And so people would watch the
Yeah.
49ers minor league team
Yes.
against the Rams minor league team
1000%.
if there was such a thing, because they want to see Darrell Luter, they want to see they want to see Braden Willis, they want to see Trey Lance develop, and people would watch that, but then nobody's ever figured out how to do that without the league obviously would have ownership on all that branding, but still it's like they got to have something. If you're ever going to see a secondary league succeed, it's going to be a true NFL minor league.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Because there's never going to be an XFL that rivals or a USFL that rivals anything. I don't care if you put it on Saturday in May. Like no one cares about the other league unless it has implications to the team that they already care about. Like the
Right.
NFL,
If you like, nobody cares about the MLS,
yeah,
but if you had the Premiership had a minor league system in America, that would get considerably better ratings than the MLS, I believe. And I think
Yeah.
the same thing could be said for the NFL. If there was a true NFL minor league, if you knew that when the season ended, there was going to be a 4 or 5 game schedule made up of guys that are on practice squads, and you could tune in and watch your team's practice squad play another team's practice squad. And obviously they'd have to grow the practice squads because there's only 16 players on them right now. But if that day ever came to pass, I think the people would watch. People would watch. I'm into football, baseball, basketball. I in the springtime, I'd rather watch college basketball and spring training baseball and get ready for the draft than watch a secondary football league. But if you took guys that were on the Niners roster and put them into the secondary football league, and it had the same branding as the NFL, I think I would support it. I think many others would too.
Yeah. And the NFL is too developed as a league to start another league not as the NFL. Like, does that make sense? Like the NFL is already too popular to like try to start another NFL for anyone to care about. And no, but you're 100% right. Like if the 49ers, if the 49ers as a team could sign a bunch of undrafted free agents, not even guys that are on the practice squad, like just literal undrafted free agents that were either going to go pro or go work a regular job. Like, I don't know, like the
straight free agents.
Yeah, like the J. Cor Pearson, like the people that we heard the names of in like early rookie camp, like the guys that never were gonna make the final roster, but were there. Like those guys are the guys where it's like if you were watching that on a Saturday in May, you could at least sit there and be like, that guy looks really good. The Niners should consider signing that guy. Like, that would bring more interest to the sport. But
no doubt,
I'll
no
let
doubt.
them figure that out on their own.